Hi people, Daniel from Devil & Sons Guitars here, and today I'm going to talk to you about two different ways you can attach your pedal to your pedal boards using cable ties and Meccano. So quick question for you, do you like using Velcro to attach your pedals to the pedal board? Well, of course you don't. Velcro is dirty, it picks up dust, it picks up fluff, it picks up hair, it just picks up a load of rubbish, and in the end it stops sticking so well. I found that after a long time my pedals don't really stay on the board so much when I'm carrying them around. It's not ideal. I'm going to show you two different techniques that I use. One of them I've been using for a long time. It's a way of really sticking your pedals down hard and making sure they don't move. The other is something I recently came up with when I've just put together a really temporary pedal board to test out the order that I'm running my pedals in before I put them into a specially built enclosure, which I'm going to make a video about. So stay tuned for that enclosure video. Before I get on with showing you those two methods, let me know below what are the staple pedals you have on your guitar board all the time. For example, I've recently started using a clone on my guitar effects board, and essentially I have the gain turned down on it quite low, so it's not really adding any distortion to my sound, it's just colouring the sound. It gives it a slight boost and slight warmer tone. It's something I'm always going to have switched on, and it's something I'm always going to have on my pedal board. And then on my bass board, I always use a compressor. I find it is really great, especially when I'm slapping, to help level out the tones and make things pop and stand out. What do you like? And also, how do you attach your pedals? Anyway, let's get on with these two methods. Here's the pedal board I made really quickly for my new looper setup. Essentially it's a 5mm bit of ply onto some other bits of wood which are about a centimetre thick to raise it off the floor. But the thing I want to focus on is how the different parts of the pedals are screwed down. So you can see here next to the small foot switch there is a little piece of metal that sticks outside that's screwed in. You can also see from this angle the one on the line selectors and on each corner of the main looper. Now the ones on the looper are made from Meccano, and these ones are ones that I bought ages ago and I just can't get hold of anymore. The Meccano one is what I want to talk about. They're basically exactly the same, and this is how they work. So here we've got one of the original ones that I bought years ago, a spare one, just like the ones I showed you that are on the bottom of the line selector and the foot switch. And then here's a piece of Meccano with 3 holes in it as opposed to 2 like this one that I've used on the bottom of the main loop pedal. And the way they basically both work is you turn the pedal over and unscrew each corner screw. Technically though, these are bolts, not screws. And your pedal clip goes in there, back into the pedal, and then you can screw it in. And then what you need is one on each corner. If you just have it on the top, for example, it's going to rock. If you have it on either side diagonally, it's going to rock as well, because it's going to raise the pedal up slightly, a bit like a foot. Now let me show you how the Meccano one works on a pedal like the Boss pedals, which have got this rubber base on the foot. So what we do is take out the bolt, put it through the Meccano, and then put it back on. Now these ones have to go on diagonally. These ones are a little bit big, unfortunately, with the 3 holes in. I haven't got any 2-hole ones, but it's exactly the same, one on each corner, and then that will screw down onto your board. Again, if you've only got it on one corner and you screw it down, it's going to cause the pedal to wobble a bit, which is why you might need them on all 4. So you can see here the Meccano holding the beat loop in place. It's got the screws that go through into the wood. You can actually see a screw coming through here because this is just a temporary structure to help me work out the size before I build my actual board for this loop station. So I know I mentioned Meccano, but you don't have to use Meccano. You could use something different, like here in Ready, my daughter's toolkit. She's got these plastic pieces which might work. You might need a washer to go over this to make sure the screw doesn't go through. Then this here is my bass pedal board. It essentially is the same idea as the one you saw for the looper, made out of a sheet of ply. It's just to get the layout at the moment. This is more or less how I want it to be, and then what I'm going to do is remake it in better quality. But I couldn't use the same Meccano technique to hold down all the pedals. I've got it on my bass overdrive here, I've got it on my power bank, and I've also got it here on my Behringer pedal, my limiter, but actually the Behringer one at the front's got 2 of those, but at the back I've bent it so that it goes up at an angle to enter the screw at the back side here of the Behringer pedals, so they're a bit different. Unfortunately, the Digitech pedals, they don't have screws at the back that come out in the same way. And for the MXR one, I found that once I put the Meccano piece in, the bolts weren't quite long enough to go back in, screw back in nicely into the MXR pedal. And I didn't have any slightly longer bolts at the time when I did this. So for these three, I did a totally different technique and used a cable tie that's going across the pedals to hold them in place. Really, really simple, really, really effective and incredibly cheap. So here's a quick example of how to tie a pedal down onto your board. I've got a scrap of hardboard using a cable tie. Just basically I put the pedal down, I mark the sides of it like this. I'm going to make a mark where I want the cable tie to go. I think the best place for it to go so it doesn't interfere too much with the knobs or the switch is here. So on each side here I'm going to make a mark like that, just doing it quite roughly. Then use a drill, simply drill your holes. Put the pedal back and then get ready with a cable tie. Now the cable ties I used on the pedals were quite big cable ties, but if you don't have them, the standard thin cable ties work just as well, because all cable ties work in the same way, and that essentially means you can push two together like this and they can't be removed. So you could daisy chain 2, 3, 4 together until you've got the right size you need to wrap over your pedal, through the board, under the board and back through into the original one. So your cable tie is just very simply going to thread underneath, over the top of your pedal, back through underneath, and then you tie it off. Here then your pedal is tied onto the board. Obviously you can trim the cable, and it's that easy, a simple way to put a pedal on a board and keep it in place. I've actually had to really quickly put together a pedal board for my guitar just to test a few things out for a video I'm going to be making. A video actually that I'm really excited about rehousing your guitar pedals into one unit. But for now, just to hold them in place, I've used a mix of those two methods, and I've got to say using the cable ties was so quick and simple. It's going to be so easy to change the places around as well. And like I said, this is just a temporary board. It's not something that I'm worried about where the holes are, etc., because I'm going to be scrapping it in the end. Great, well, thanks so much for watching this video, and if you found it useful, please do like, subscribe, put a thumbs up, leave a comment below. All of those things are a great way to support me. I mean, you may not be in a situation where you can buy a bass or guitar right now, but if you do, get in contact with me via my website. I make and sell, I customise, I can do commissions. I love working with people to help develop their ideas. I also sell merch like this through my Redbubble site. But like I said, you can support me not just by liking on YouTube, but also I'm on Instagram and Facebook. At the moment, Instagram is where I share a lot of my photos of what I'm doing as I'm making the work. And on Facebook, I'm trying to share some guitar and music related things that aren't specifically Devil and Sons related, to try and build a bit of a community and a bit of a conversation there. So go and look them both up. But until next time, happy strumming.